Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Stiletsy. We're here with yet another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition casted game. This time it's going to be another 2 versus 2 deathmatch, right? My deathmatch vendor has delivered today for sure, and given me some good recordings. Deathmatch is a very fun game mode because you start with 20k resources, usually in post-industrial age, so you know what I mean? A lot of early fighting. You know, the units are upgraded as much as you need. The resources are there. You can get right down to building stuff and attacking. Let's see how the map looks before we get started, though. You know, I just want to look around real quick, see if there's anything that's going to determine how this fight goes. Well, this is the map in Europe that has the big river system on it with the little fords you can cross. Clearly, this adds a couple of choke points in terms of combat. You got some trading posts along this trade route that the teams can capture, as well as the European native settlements of Wetton, as well as one of Hanover as well. So, pretty good stuff, you know what I mean? If you can get all these natives in the trading posts here, it can definitely help you to get your cards out, since in Deathmatch, getting your upgrade cards is really important. Let's see how this fight goes, though, and see what these two can do. These two teams, that is. Alright, let's begin. Okay, so we got the French over here and the Lakota. Interesting. We've seen Lakota for the past 2 death matches, so this is looking like a very signature choice for our friend Kaishi Tushki here. Definitely likes the Lakota. I like the Lakota too, you know what I mean? They got that aggressive feel to them, but they're also not bad economically because the teepees help them out so much. Just like the last game we see, we're going to see kinship ties, adoption combined, and we're also going to see winter counts. All units and buildings grant more XP when created. So basically what this means is it's going to be a big giant town center boom, only with native embassies, and with the combined power of adoption and this card, they're going to provide a big XP bounty, you know? Lots of XP. And if you're wondering why Lakota had access to 5 shipments so quickly, it's because they researched the big buns heck at the market, which grants you XP for shipments, and since it's so early in the match, it just means you get more shipments because the shipping costs at the start of the game are less than the time you would usually send that big bun out, so that's where that's coming from, right? They're not hacking or anything. It's basically home city magic, pretty much, you know? Home city magic. Now we see some British Dragoons sneaking their way in here, you know? This should be pretty interesting to see what the strategy is. Oh, so British are going full cavalry right now. Goons and Hussars, you know, the King's Life Guard Hussars. These are stronger than standard European Hussars because of their 10% additional stats. So, very tough unit, you know what I mean? You don't want to mess with them. And it seems like they're already starting to cause some havoc here, trying to siege down the French outposts. Right? But we do... Oh, interesting. We see the... Who is this? The Dutch. The Dutch are starting the siege on the Lakota's trading post, and they're going to try to attack them from straight to the west here. So it seems the Dutch have already crossed the river, and they're already looking to do some damage here. You know, this could be pretty serious if they're not careful. Oh no, we see the riders moving right in onto the Lakota corrals. If they can maintain their stature here, maybe they can kill these bow riders as they're coming out and do some eco damage just by doing that. Oh, we're gonna see... Oh, we see the native technologies coming out too. Yeah, this will be pretty useful. Pretty useful indeed. What else do we got here? Oh, giant grenadiers. Yeah, that's gonna be very powerful. These things here, they deal splash damage in their range attacks, so they're almost like little pieces of artillery. Also, we see the upgrade of the trade route to trading barge, which will essentially allow quicker resources to come onto that route. We see a quick acquisition of Furrier here, and then we'll see the Great Hunter at some point. This basically secures Lakota food economy and ensures that their food economy is very good all the time, because as you know, with Lakota, they can infinitely ship in Bison if they have to, and they can even use the community plaza and the XP trickle dance to keep those Bison coming in from the home city, so that's very useful for them. On the other end though, we see these French Voltiguyers and the Yard Dragoons making their way across the river towards the British. They have already planted an outpost down, it seems. Already starting to move in on that. We do see some Saxon cuirassiers coming in from the native site. Those will be pretty useful, since that basically gives the Lakota a decent heavy splash cavalry they can use against the Dutch. Just make sure you don't throw them into the riders though, since they'll eat them up pretty quickly. Oh, Tome Cove Hussars from that one Hanover native settlement. Very clever indeed. That'll definitely help the French out quite a bit, since they have a really neat charge attack. Yeah. We see British camping out behind their walls right now with a group of culverins and horse artillery. Also some Redcoat musketeers as well as the Black Watch. Are we going to see any rangers, or are they going to stick to longbowmen for skirms? That'll be interesting to see for sure. Right now though, it seems like Dutch have the advantage because they can just hide behind their wall with their range units, and they're going to force the Lakota back for a bit of time. In the meantime, let's check out what this France is doing. So they've got Griffith BL system research, so that's going to buff up the artillery quite a bit. You could also send all these eco cards at some point, which would help. Wilderness Warfare helps out with the skirmishers' HP, as well as that of the villagers, so quite good. And we also see, let me see what else we got. Yeah, they changed this recently in a patch. This used to be the ranged infantry team combat. They changed it to Team Senegalese Riflemen. Basically gives all the ranged infantry additional damage. Right? Something that changed very recently. How about the opposing team? Like, what's the opposite team doing, like, deck-wise? Terraced houses. Houses can slowly train settlers. It's probably a safety option if you lose your settlers on the front lines, I can imagine. Right now, they seem to be focusing mostly on their cavalry combat. We also saw them go for Yeomen, which will basically allow them to have more range on there. Oh, Rangers! Interesting, Rangers. So I'm guessing maybe we're going to see Rangers instead of longbowmen be used for the skirmisher units. You know, they certainly have less range in the... Oh, okay, so they've basically decided to swap their longbowmen out for Rangers from the Royal Decree. That's pretty big. You know, I mean, British Rangers, they have less range than the longbowmen, and I think less rate of fire as well, since, you know, they have to reload the gun, but at the same time they deal a lot more damage, and their multipliers are technically better since they benefit from counter-infantry rifling from the arsenal. So maybe with these British Rangers, they can certainly keep up and get the French out there off of this fort here and push them back. Oh, but now we see... Is that a fight? No, we see some walling going on over here to make sure the French don't try to flank them with any sort of cavalry up in the north there. Oh, we see some Dutch Tonkopf Hussars coming into... interesting. Yeah. Tonkopf. I didn't even know there was a second Hanover. Oh yeah, right there. Yep. So that'll definitely help the Dutch out in defending their base, for sure. Definitely. You still see some giant grenadiers from the French, though, to provide some extra range support here. Horse artillery, you're going to have to target it. Yep, perfect. The horse artillery targeted that of the enemy, denying them that anti-infantry damage they really needed. But at the same time, they lost their horse artillery. I don't know at this point if you're using French skirms, if you really want to go up against the British skirms, but Now we see a fight developing down here in the south, where the Dutch riders are just trying to target down the Lakota cavalry. The Dutch skirmishers forced into a retreat. Hopefully those Dutch riders will be able to shoot off those axe riders, protect their numbers. Oh, we saw mortars trying to sneak over here. The axe riders just denied them, though. That's not good if you're Dutch. It's great if you're Lakota, though, because that means you can preserve your base just a little bit longer now. Yeah, see this here? See this little circle? That means that the teepee is boosting the gather rate of Lakota villagers in their hunting, which is going to ensure that they can keep up their food economy, you know? Right now, the British food economy is waning a little bit, but Lakota, look at that, over 10k food. They have no problem keeping a strong food economy. You know, and when you're making a lot of mounted units as Lakota, you definitely need that food to be able to do so. And another thing that Lakota's doing to keep up their food eco, they're going for the more budget-friendly Wakina riflemen. You know, since they're an actually pretty decent skirmishing unit that you can use as Lakota to deal with the riders and engage a bit with the skirmishers as well. But you do have to retreat against the horse artillery, though. The horse artillery will blast them to smithereens if they're not careful. And that's where the axe rider comes in. If you can send a little group of axe riders in and try to prod your way through them. They got one down, you know, but then are they going to get the other ones down? I don't know exactly. It's looking like a bit of a challenge for this Dutch and British team, you know. You got France still active on this side of the map, right? We do see some heavy cannons too, right? Oh, those were shipped. Those were shipped. I didn't know if they changed their factory to heavy cannons or not. I guess they need to keep them on the coin trickle to keep up their economy. Yeah, and they're making cuirassiers as well, gendarmes. Be able to make a unit like the gendarme, which is a whopping like 150 food and 150 coin. You do need a strong food and coin economy. So unfortunately, they're not going to be able to switch those factories to heavy cans anytime soon, though, if they want to keep up with that unit type. They're going to send thoroughbreds, though, which is going to make all these stable units cheaper. So that also benefits the Hussars and the Dragoons as well, should they want to go with those units. So, yeah, like you see right now, the Royal Guard British Hussars just ripping through their artillery lines. You can probably deny that with a lot cheaper Dragoons. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh wow, we see some Dutch outposts moving on beyond the walls here. That could pose a serious problem for the Lakota for sure. You know, what sort of deck did Dutch go with? So yeah, eco cards, they got all the bank ones done, which are essential, including the Royal Decree, which, you know, gives them a higher build limit of the banks by 2. And now they're gonna have to start thinking of like a strategy to force their way in here further. If they can defend these outposts and go in for a full push, that'd be really good for them, you know. We see the Black Brunswickers coming from the native site. We also see the Guard Drummers, which inspires the units. Also some Tonkov Hussars as well. So maybe we're going to see a combination of Hanover natives combined with the Dutch units. Right now the Dutch have swapped over to Hussar, though, to take advantage of the surplus of skirms on the Lakota side. They're also going to be able to target the captured mortars of the Dutch. Of the Lakota, I should say. Yeah, basically they can make these using a big bun tech at their native embassy from their native embassy. So it's the only artillery unit the Lakota really gets that they can use for siege. You know, they don't get Colves, they don't get Falcons, unfortunately, so they kind of have to deal with that. Oh wow, and then we see Dutch trying to make up for the lack of coin using Royal Mint. Also infantry combat, so this will make the skirmishers stronger, which we're going to see a lot of here. Wow, we see a French retreat. The French have raised the white flag once again. Is this outpost going to go down? Yeah, British are going to use the culverins to do it, so they can safely put up a wall in front of them. Very smart indeed, especially when you know the French cav can charge in at any time, go Shazi, and wipe you out. Oh, that's what happened. Basically, because of the advances of the Dutch here, we've seen the French retreat from their front lines, just to offer some aid to their ally in distress here. They could not afford Dutch getting outposts in their forward base beyond the wall here. That would be very serious. Very serious situation that required both teammates to go on the same side of each other. We're going to see Lakota try to do some counteroffensive work here with war clubs. The war clubs, a very good siege unit, right? They're basically just pikemen, you know, anti-cav. They got the strong siege attack, so if you can get enough of these war clubs going, you can easily slice your way through these walls and do some serious damage. Do they have enough though? They only have about 15 at this point. Significantly increases the hit points of all Lakota warriors, but reduces their damage against villagers. That shouldn't be so important right now, though. I mean, I definitely think at this point the HP boost is way more useful than the negative effect against you. You know what I mean? You're not going to be dealing with a lot of vills right now. You're just going to be sort of trying to siege your way into the base. Oh, what's this? The Trabants. Oh yeah, the halberd units. Yeah, these guys are pretty strong. Very strong units. French have refortified their position here even without the outposts. And we see them sniping off some of the House of Weta native units up here from the British. British need to finish this patch of wall though, or they could face some pressure in their base. Going back over here though, it looks like Lakota were able to make an opening, as we saw a couple of seconds ago with their war clubs, but now Dutch are going to fiercely defend that area. You know, with the help of some of the House of Wen natives. Oh, bow riders coming in for Lakota. That could definitely be of use. They are dipping a bit into their coin though, so they're going to have to be careful with that, you know. They got to make sure that they can maintain their coin. Since bow riders, rifle riders, all those cav units are very heavy on the coin cost. Just as much as the food. How's France doing eco-wise? I mean, they're holding on pretty well, I would think, at this stage in the game. Still making skirms. You see some of the giant grenadiers still. I mean, at this point, you gotta worry about the hussars. It seems like the British Royal Guard hussars are the biggest threat right now. Yeah, see, oh no, now we see the hussars just overrunning that position on the ford. You know, too many skirmishers and artillery without a lot of dragoon protection. You need some dragoons in there, like right now, which we luckily see here. You know, that's going to cost them. Also, we see the Dutch providing their Tonkopf hussars from the Hanover settlement too, so that's really not good. And their Brunswickers as well. You know what I mean? This is almost like a 2 versus 1 on this front right now. They gotta. We might need to see Lakota maybe send some help up here. You know. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can keep up their action in the south since they made a couple of gains on the wall. But we'll see though. We'll see. Yeah, you can already start to see the French starting to lose some resources out of desperation at this point. The coin is definitely being dipped into quite a bit. The food, not so much. How's oh, look at this. I just looked at their stats. Dutch are starving right now. Wow, that's not good. It's not good. Yeah, they already can't afford anything that costs food at this point. Their food definitely needs to be improved. See, I see this as a potential opening here for the Lakota. If they can keep the pressure on and make skillful trades with Micro, they might be able to starve out this Dutch player here and force their way in. And they already sent all their economic cards as well, so it's not like they can improve the eco any more than it already is. Yeah, we see Lakota switching to some war clubs because once they get into melee with the riders, they're very low HP and that multiplier just shreds them. Utterly shreds them. You know what I mean? That's the cost you deal with when dealing with Dutch riders. They're one pop, they're very spammable, but very, very easy to get ripped apart by any sort of pikeman unit, like the war clubs. Now, this is probably very beneficial for the French. You know, they're able to keep their stuff here in the choke point, pretty much, so those horse artillery and colts can effectively get a lot more damage output, I would say, with their splash than, say, in an open battlefield. You know, because basically the British have to force their way in with their rangers, and that means the horse artillery cannonballs are going to hit all of them when they go through this very tight area of the map here. So it's really going to be up to, well, no more dragoons though, but I was going to say you're going to want to take out these horse guns, because if you let them stay there, they're going to destroy any sort of infantry you try to push into there. Now, we do see a bit of recovery in eco from the Dutch though, so they're cutting back a little bit on their army at this point just because they have to. They also decided to put a fort down right here with the support of the outpost. This fort is going to be very helpful in defending this position, and essentially when they start running out of resources again, which I'm sure they will, this fort is going to provide enough damage support that's going to prevent the Lakota from fully committing, which buys you time to make up more resources again. You know, because there's only two ways to make resources at this point. Either send more cards if you haven't already for your eco, or two, stop wasting units away, you know. Pick and choose your fights if you can, which it seems like Dutch are trying to do right now. You know what I mean? They don't have to push out right now, they just have to hold this position, so they're probably trying to make skillful shots here. Seeing if I can get these heavy horse guns to hit these Wakinas, do some casualties, you know, and deter them as best as I can. Because if I can bide myself some time, maybe I can get some more resources and think about maybe another push out again. But if you lose the resources too quick, then you're going to have Lakota, of course, trying to siege in this area again. Now, and we always have to watch this position too, because this is the other point that's receiving a lot of action. We see these British hussars coming in time and time again, wrecking the French artillery because they just don't have anything to defend their position with. Now, what could be interesting is, could you potentially take some Trabants and start sieging these walls here of the French and open up a second front? That could be kind of interesting, you know? Definitely. What I see here is not good. We see dragoons getting thrown right into the fire of these British Ranger skirmishers. You do not want to do that, folks. You're shedding resources away. And I get it, you're not really starving too much right now, but if you do it too much, you are going to be starving resources, and it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good at all. Yeah, see, I don't know about this side. Oh, yeah, see, Dutch, they're already out of food. They can't even engage right now. Lakota are just farming them out right now, you know. The food and coin position of Lakota is a lot less than it was earlier, for sure, but they're at least gaining favorable gains now because Dutch have been unable to keep up with unit production. So what Dutch decides to do is, I'm going to spam a bunch of hussars, I'm going to ship in some heavy cannons, right, and I'm going to use the artillery and the hand cavalry to cut down their numbers and force them to spend more food on bow riders, which costs a lot of food. And that is one way that Dutch can do the opposite effect to their opponent. In fact, their food and coin is catching, no, that's French. How's Dutch? Yeah, Dutch, see, they're struggling in resources a lot more than the Lakota, but if they can force these engagements and then blast their infantry apart with the cannons for free, then Lakota are going to be starving too. You know what I mean? They're going to be starving the resources because, you know, Lakota, they don't get these big fancy farms that you can do stuff with. They don't get factories. They literally got to depend on the hunt shipments they receive from the Bison. You know, if they stop running out of Bison to eat because they're burning through it too fast, Lakota will basically, you know, they'll die because they have no meat to eat. Meat to eat, pretty much. Yeah, let's see how long that Dutch can manage these heavy cannons here. You know, let's see if they're able to roll these in properly. And were those shipped? Yeah, those were shipped. They did not, yeah, at this stage, Dutch could not afford to send their factories over to heavy cans at this point. It would just be a death blow to them. So they had to ship those in. Oh no, we see one heavy can going down to the bow riders. Oh, the bow rider's gonna snipe the other one though. Yeah. What are you doing with that heavy can? Are you gonna take a shot at the skirmishers? Are you repositioning for that? Try to get those bow riders if you can. That would be great for you. Well, yeah, that was a decent shot, but try to get into this, get this patch right here. That would be really good. Oh, they lost that one. Oh no! Did you see that war chief? He just splash attacked those two Falcons down. Oh, that's not good. That's exactly what Lakota needed. You know, they need some breathing room right now, and now they got some. They're going to be able to clean up these skirms, I think, for now. They can use the bow rider Wakina rifle combo to deal with the hussars and the riders. And now the Lakota can start recovering their eco a bit. Right, how are they doing on food? Like, where's their bison at? Yeah, see, the bison are all at this TC, and they got plenty of more meat to go here. So, as long as that meat is coming in, and they got enough shipments to keep sending more of the bison, they should be good on food eco, you know? Oh, what? Yep, we see Dutch hussars diverting a bit, trying to raid some of the wood choppers up here. Trying to see if they can do any sort of eco damage. Because Dutch know, if I can get some riders in, start dwindling the Lakota villager numbers just enough, I can cut off their hunting eco, which would be fatal. It would definitely give me some time to recover with my shortening of time. Which, we see. How about British? Wow, British are struggling too right now. They're starting to struggle a lot economically. We see the French actually really outperforming them in eco right now, which means essentially that they fought so well at this point in controlling that choke point, using artillery to deal more damage, that they've effectively out-ecoed their opponent in terms of being able to keep up the military. Oh wow, look at those Tonkov hussars just slicing through with their charge attacks through those British Rangers. Wow, that's some serious stuff right there. Now they're starting to go for their Congreve rockets in the back. Oh wow. Whew. That one just barely survived. One more slice of the saber and that one would have been down. Huh. Now this is interesting here. Now we're starting to see some serious pushing by the yeah, Dutch, you're doing alright right now. But we don't see any military though. This is very bad. This means the only reason that Dutch are even getting these resources is because they had to wait for their economy to catch up. They're probably going to lose their native settlement too, which is going to lose them access to units that they can have over their pop cap. Right? I wonder if this fort's going to come down too, because Lakota, they're changing to the siege dance, and the siege dance marked by the torch here basically improves the siege rate of the units. Right now it's a full community plaza I can see here. Is it a full one? Yep, so that means 50% additional siege to all units, cavalry and infantry. This means that, for one, they can start sieging down these walls, then they can start moving onto the towers, the stables, and eventually this fort. And another issue we see here is the French doing so well over here because of the lack of British resources, that Dutch actually have to come in and spend their resources, which they're not doing too good on, especially in coin, to try to save their ally here and get them out of trouble. You know, look at all the riders it's taken to force their way through here to get to these cannons. You know, that took a lot of energy on both teammates' parts here to be able to clean this up. You know, and what happens from here, I'm not sure, because as long as Dutch are up here on this part of the map, Lakota are going to siege their way at the bottom part of the map, uncontested. You know, this is exactly what the Lakota team needs. Serious gains in control of the map for free, without any contests, you know. If Lakota can destroy that entire base for free, which we basically see here, we see a little bit of skirms and riders, right? But obviously the whole population has to run back from the forward battlefield here, and they have to ride all the way down here. You know, giving Lakota plenty of time to start eating apart these towers. We even see the captured howitzers from the native embassy. They're going to start working on this fort like right now. You know, and there's not a lot that Dutch can do to defend it unless they start to generate some units out of this fort, like some hussars and the tactics. Yeah, Lakota economy has been generally solid this whole game, and that's basically kept them from really losing their base. And friends too are doing really well right now. They've been able to stay here at about 10k resources around this part of the match. Yeah, that's definitely going to make a big difference here, because now France, they're able to not only hold this fort area, this little weeny little beachhead here that they've been able to maintain the whole match, just about. But now they can start to think about, hey, how can I drain the British resources even more? You know, how can I start to starve them even more? How can I start to siege this wall down and move all the way up here? Because if they can move up here, this is freedom. This is victory. Freedom. Freedom at last. Right? At the same time, Lakota, all they really have to do is keep the Dutch from advancing in the south. And they're doing a great job at that, because this fort is guaranteed to go down for the Dutch. These capture mortars are just way too close to cut down the HP on that. How many more shells before this fort goes down? Let's see. Let's predict it. Okay, so maybe... Actually, I think the Riders can actually save that fort just barely, though. They have to target it. Why are you not... Yeah, now they're targeting the mortar. Is it gonna... Oh, wow. Just barely missed. Just barely saved it. I was going like, it's a show. Oh, but you can't save this, though. This is unsavable. Talk about bad. Look at this. French Dragoons have charged. How did they get in? How did these units get in here? How did they sneak in? Did they use the, Wow, I didn't even... Look at this. Look at these Dragoons just blasting into the British and the Dutch economy. That is not what they needed. Their economy has been struggling for like the past several minutes, and we've been commenting on it. The fact that they just lost villagers up in those mills and estates, that is a serious issue. Very serious issue. Right? As we see down here, Lakota opting for some war clubs again to meet shield against the Hussars and get some favorable trades. Also, some of the, the Saxon cuirassiers from the Wedden House. Yeah, that's another strong unit here. Oh, wow, look at this. Oh, wow, cuirassiers moving in on these coves now, uncontested. Oh, these are Dutch culverins too, so Dutch at this point are basically trying to fight on two fronts again, you know? It seems like both this game and the last one, Dutch have been forced at different points to support both sides of the conflict, you know? Their own fight against the Lakota and that of the other player. We finally see some Dutch stalwart halberdiers though. These halberdiers can be a very strong unit against mounted units. They can even be good against infantry when in large numbers, you know. We'll see if they can be good against these Cetans if they have the numbers, you know. Look at this attack. It's about 47 attacks, so think of them doing as much damage to skirms as, say, Hussars a lot of the time, so don't be fooled by their slowness. If they can get up and close with infantry, they can rip apart infantry. And they're also one pop as well, so, you know, sometimes even that multiplier against them that the skirmishers give them just doesn't, yeah. Oh wow, cuirassiers getting into the base too. This is really not good. Ah, so they siege their way through here. Wow. Wow, that's... So it seems like French are simply just making holes in the walls at this point and driving cavalry into the base. Their economy is shining right now, you know. They can really afford all the cav and infantry they need to keep control of that fort and to do damage across the wall. So not only are they surviving, they're thriving. And that's when you start to see things really shift towards a victory. when you're not only surviving, you're thriving. How about Dutch? I mean, yeah, Dutch at this point are in a very serious spot. You know, they have to choose between defending themselves and defend this British up here that can't even keep their walls protected and are constantly letting French cav get in. In the end, they have to help British whether they like it or not, because those French cav could always ride their way down to here and start attacking these mills of the Dutch. So that's actually a really bad problem. GG, I guess. I guess yes. You know? Your team is starving in resources. The other one is doing just fine right now. You know, France have barely even lost this forward position on the river this whole game, which is phenomenal. Lakota seems very strong. Yes, I would say the same thing, you know. It seems like Lakota, the Native American civ, has managed to be the economic MVP this whole game. You know, between this one and the last one, they just have the most resources. Killed a lot of villagers. Still armies keep standing. Yep. It's a combination of the teepees and the hunt-and-gather rate from Furrier and Great Hunter, you know. Gives them plenty of food so they can use the rest of their villagers to focus on the estates pretty much. Fire pit, good for adapting. Like dust on a windy day. Oh, yep. It's all in the community plaza, the fire pit, you know. Fire pit is basically what it was called in the Legacy game. Look at that. Loads of unit upgrades. Exactly. Lakota have lots of upgrades. You know, they get regular upgrades and then they get the support cards, which also boost units as well. Yeah, mine is not the best. What did Dutch even have? Like, they have combat cards, but they lack advanced arsenal, though. That's one thing they could add. Advanced arsenal would give their skirmishers some better stats. It would also give their hussars some additional siege. It would also let their infantry move faster, so hypothetically halberdiers could be more viable in different situations, right? Halberdiers are clunky, but if you get the infantry drum from the drumming technology from the advanced arsenal, that could be quite useful. Yeah, I mean, good job French here for just holding your position this whole game. You know, the French were very competent in doing what they had to do. And Lakota just really good with their economy, keeping up with the hunting, with providing bison. Yeah, they still have bison here. And they've been able to maintain it that whole match, which is basically giving them infinite food supply. Also, Lakota on food is madness. Yeah. You're talking about slow little farms like these that all the Europeans use. Lakota are still going carnivore. Was that 36 minutes into the match they're going full carnivore, which is a lot better than farming. You know, I mean, hunting gather rate is insane in this game. Especially when you add economic cards for it, like Furrier, Great Hunter, that type of thing. It's unbeatable, you know. Lakota food eco is unbeatable, and then you can focus the rest of the vills on the coin and the wood. So they end up becoming a more economic civ than many of the Europeans do. You know, Lakota this whole game have actually played better economically than even the Dutch do with all of those banks that they get. All of those banks. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, look at the post game, you know. They just made the same, well, I'm actually surprised the resource count is actually pretty similar among all the players. But as you can see here, they really just did really well in food, and that's why they did so well here. Dutch dominated in coin because of their banks. Lakota dominated in food because of their hunting, their meat eating. You know? And then French just slightly more resources than the British. You know, and that, I guess that was enough of a difference in that 10k resources to dominate against them. Right? Let's see militarily. Like, look at the kill count on the French. I mean, you can see a difference here. You see a situation where the French were just better at fighting. They were able to manage their artillery better. And sure, yeah, sometimes they let their artillery get overrun, but they were able to make up for it very quickly and make another carefully planned army to go against the Brits. At times, even forcing the Dutch to come over and secede some of their base to the Lakota just so they could defend their ally. Very nice one. It's good to see another strong Lakota deathmatch again. Hope you enjoy them. And hopefully our community brings me more deathmatch casted games as well as other ones, you know. If you want to send me a casted game, or rather just a recording that I can cast for you, be my guest, you know. I make views from it. I get additional people to this channel. I want lots and lots of people to use this channel as a great resource to get better at the game and enjoy the matches that our community does. See you next time. Signing off now. Be ready for the next one when it comes.